G'day everybody, Nick here, just going to give you a quick rundown on today's Wednesday Prime and Store sale. Look, agent charted 2,345 head today, mainly consisting of prime cattle. I think there's about 1,475 prime cattle and the remainder being store cattle. So look, plenty of good prime fat cows again, plenty of heavier cows and the better end of the bullocks, so still a good yarding. But look, we'll get into it. Look, the best of the bullocks there today, they topped out at 356 cents, but you'll see that they were kind of more of your heavy feeder / top end of your the lighter end of your bullock job. So they were account of the Department of Primary Industries. There were some good steers fed on Lakina, 526 kilos, making 352 cents. So that was a great result from them. But come back into any of the bullocks that were kind of 5 to 600, 650 kilos. Look, we didn't have many of those, but you could have made anywhere from 320 up to 335 cents. So you're pretty consistent around 25 to 30 on those bullocks. Come back under your slipperier, older, mouthed out bullocks that were probably 500, 550 kilos. Look, you could have been anywhere from $3 to $3.10 on those steers. So look, the bullock job, like I said, wasn't many there, but it's unchanged last week. Prime heifers, isolated pens of some really good heavy prime heifers, and they sold well. Look, they were still making up to 326 cents if they were 520, 30 kilos plus. Come back into the majority of the Charter Steers heifers that are around 440, 450 kilos. They're anywhere from $2.90 all the way up to $3.10. So you're pretty consistent there at $3. Look, plenty of cows again. I think we had 900 cows, like we're seeing each week. The cows keep coming. The cows are fat. Look, we had a lot of medium frame cows there today that were probably more around that 480 to 540 kilos. There wasn't a hell of a lot of cows that were heavier than that, but there was isolated pens. And look, those heavier pens of cows, they were topping out to about 308 cents. So that was the best of those heavy cows, but where you really saw the market in them was kind of $2.90 to $3 mark. Where we did see a bit of a pickup in the job, any of those cows that were kind of 450 to 500 kilos, those medium frame, fat little northern cows, they were making up to 306, but they were pretty consistent on the knocker all day at 90 to $3. So there was plenty of demand on that. We had a couple of processes into those cows heading back down south. So look, that cow job, I could have said it was a bit better. It could have been 10 or 20 cents better on that lighter end cow. Heavy end cow was unchanged. The lighter store cows, look, same thing. If there was an old weaner mum or something, you're back to your $1.80, $2 on those cows, old cracker cows. So that's the cow job. Bulls, not many bulls, about 50 bulls there. They were kind of topping out at 320, but a bull all day, regardless whether it was 350 kilos or 700 kilos, you'll make $3 on those bulls. So that bull job was good. Store steers, look, I think there was about 560 steers throughout the competition. We had a lot of steers there. They were probably, they were mainly from Normanton, and they were a good Brahman steer, and they were probably more around that 230 all the way up to 250 kilos. That was the majority of the yard. There was isolated pens, and look, they were making up to 370 cents. Number 5s, number 6 steers, they were anywhere from 350 to 370. But we did have a couple of pens of good 400 kilo steers, good weight for age steers. 365 cents on those good Brahman steers that you could go either the feedlot, export, so 365. So that steer job was really good today. Heifer job, look, the heifer job's pretty much unchanged from the previous weeks. We could have seen it maybe 10 better, but a lot of your heifers still today, if they're a lightweight heifer, they're anywhere from 250 to 270. So that's pretty much the consistency it's been for the last few weeks, but get into the heavier heifers over 300, 320 kilos, you're anywhere from $3 up to 330 cents. So look, they're going back to feed. The cows and calves wasn't many. I think there was about 14 cows and 14 calves there. The best of the cows and calves topped at $1,700, but they were good young cows with good calves on them as well. Look, one sale next week. We're not having two. We're only having one. So if you've got cattle, we're going to combine it back into a one sale. We don't have enough to run two. So if you've got some cattle, give us a ring and book them in. Cheers.